No attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and therefore Jamaraj, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this movement. Where's the microphone?
Took a long time to set up.
All right, we're going to sing one more song. This is a song called Shravanasi Gaura Pada Padme, a prayer to the lotus feet of Lord Gauranga and his associates. From Prarthana by Shri Narottam Das Thakur. No.
Beautiful song.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koramare Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koramare Oma Vina Ke Dayalo Jagat Sansare Oma Vina Ke Dayalo Jagat Sansare Patita Pavana Hetu Tavayavatara Masamapa Tito Prabhu Nabhaive Ara Prabhu Nabhaive Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Shuki Nityananda Vipavalo Prano Koro Ami Boro Duki Doya Kora Sitapati Advaita Gosai Bhava Kripa Ore Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Ore Bhai Chaitanya I don't know about that fifth verse. I've never seen that verse before. Aha Swarup Sanantana Rupa Raghuna Aha Swarupa Rupa Raghuna Bhakta Juga Vidimaha Prabhu Lokanath. That was the second line we just sang. Daya Kodo Siya Charja Prabhu Srinivas. Dhamachandra Sanghamage Narottamo Sanghamage Ramachandra Sanghamage Narottamo Ramachandra Sanghamage Narottamo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koramari Sri Krishna Chaitanya Oma Bina Kerayalo Jagat Samsari Oma Bina Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Okay, folks, pay attention. I'll split the mantra in half here. I'll do it again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah. My dear Lord Chaitanya, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your Lordship within these three worlds? Your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls, but I assure you that you will not find a greater fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. My dear Lord Nityananda, you are always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you are always very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, then I may also become happy. My dear Advaita Prabhu, husband of Sita, you were so kind. please be merciful to me. If you are kind to me, naturally, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me. O Sarup Damodar, personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya. O six Goswamis, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Sri Jiva Goswami. O Lokanath Goswami, my beloved spiritual master, I pray for your mercy also. O Srinivas Acharya, successor to the six Goswamis, please be merciful to me. Narottam Das always desires the company of Ramachandra Chakravarti. Ramachandra Sangamagi Narottam Das. So these are a couple of nice songs about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, I can get my computer to... Yeah, turn on. Very good. So today is the... Thank you. All right. Shri Radhe, Jai Shri Srimati Gaura Hari. The holy appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared on this day, the Purnima, in this month, on the Vedic calendar in 1486, as the son of Jagannath Mishra and Sri Sachi Devi, and he was given the name at birth Vishwarup Mishra. No, Vishwambar Mishra. And then later in his youth, he became known, he was born under a neem tree, so his another name was Nimai. And in his youth, he was a very accomplished scholar in Sanskrit grammar, and he became known as Nimai Pandit. And when he was a teenager, he opened his own school, a village tola, or Sanskrit school, and accepted students amongst the locals there. Then, when he was about 16 years old, also he got married. And but later his first wife passed away. Then he got married again. First to Lakshmi Priya, then to Vishnu Priya. And then when he was 24 years old, which would have been 1510, he took sannyas, which is a very young age to take sannyas. Normally, sannyas is taken near the end of life. Although Srila Prabhupada also created many young sannyasis. When he began the preaching of the Krishna consciousness movement, many of them, most of them, did not maintain their sannyas ashram, although a few did, like Satsarup Maharaj and Jayapataka Swami. There are others. So after he took sannyas, of course, you take sannyas, you can't stay at home. And he was very much beloved by his mother Sachi Devi. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his youth, as Nimai, had very beautiful hair. He was very beautiful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also very tall, 7 feet tall, with arms reaching down to his knees. So when he took sannyas, then he shaved his head. And many of the residents of Navadvip, they lamented, especially Mother Sachi. You see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their beautiful Nimai, cut his hair and enter into the renounced order of life. So then he left home. But his mother did not want him to go too far, as generally the sannyasis, they travel and preach and they go far and wide. And she thought, I'll never see him again. I'll never hear from him again. So she asked him to make his headquarters at Jagannath Puri, which the Bengali devotees would yearly go to Jagannath Puri for the Rath Yatra. We mentioned this the other day. So she could get some news of him and his activities as the devotees would go back and forth to Jagannath Puri, which was an arduous journey in those days by foot. It's like 1,000 miles or something. So he made his headquarters there in Jagannath Puri Dham, and a very famous holy place where the Jagannath temple is. But he also traveled out from Jagannath Puri on foot for some 6 years, going all over India and preaching the Krishna consciousness movement. And then he returned to Jagannath Puri, where he spent the last 18 years of his visible manifestation there in Puri, experiencing ever increasingly deeper and deeper states of Krishna conscious ecstasy, of Mahabhava. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although he appeared as a devotee, he's actually Krishna himself, appearing as in the form of a devotee, but covered by the mood and sentiments of Srimati Radharani, who is the greatest devotee, you could say. Who is the greatest devotee of Krishna? Sri Radha. Therefore, when you see Krishna, like on the altar, you see Srimati Radharani with Krishna. She is the greatest lover and devotee of Krishna. She is the manifestation, the personification of love for Krishna in the highest possible way. Prabhupada says that Radharani, she is a devotee who knows how to please Krishna the most. So, Lord Chaitanya is a very interesting appearance of the Lord, appearing to taste the mood and sentiments of Radharani's love for Krishna. Quite a unique pastime. And simultaneously, he teaches everyone, the whole world, the process of devotional service and how to achieve love for Krishna. Now, in the 4th chapter of the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a nice explanation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission and purpose in this appearance. And this chapter is entitled The Confidential Reasons for the Appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I'm going to read the chapter summary, which Srila Prabhupada gives. In this chapter of the epic Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who's the author, has stressed that Lord Chaitanya appeared for 3 principal purposes of his own. The first purpose was to relish the position of Srimati Radharani, who is the prime reciprocator of transcendental love of Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of transcendental loving transactions with Srimati Radharani. The subject of those loving transactions is Lord Krishna, and Srimati Radharani is the object. Thus, the subject, the Lord, wanted to relish the loving mellow in the position of the object, Srimati Radharani. The second reason for his appearance was to understand the transcendental mellow of himself. Lord Krishna is all sweetness. Radharani's attraction for Krishna is sublime. And to experience that attraction and understand that transcendental sweetness of himself, he accepted the mentality of Radharani. This is a very deep subject matter, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out. But at least, especially on this day, the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, it is worth hearing and understanding and at least dipping our toe and getting one little drop from that ocean of that nectar of Lord Krishna. The third reason that Lord Chaitanya appeared was to enjoy the bliss tasted by Radharani. The Lord thought that undoubtedly Radharani enjoyed his company, and he enjoyed the company of Radharani. But the exchange of transcendental mellow between the spiritual couple was more pleasing to Srimati Radharani than to Sri Krishna. Radharani felt more transcendental pleasure in the company of Krishna than he could understand without taking her position. But for Sri Krishna to enjoy in the position of Srimati Radharani was impossible because that position was completely foreign to him. Of course, you could say, well, nothing's impossible for God, which is true, but there is a transcendental physics that exists. Sometimes people want to prove that God can't be all powerful. Well, if God is so powerful, can he create a stone that's so heavy that he can't lift? Of course, when he was 7 years old, he lifted Govardhan Hill, a mountain, with the pinky of his left hand. So God has inconceivable potency, but he plays the game of love by his own rules and not by either the ordinary laws of physics or what clever mental speculators think they can trap him with their logical conundrums. He is God. He is beyond the perception of the senses, and he is inconceivable. Yet he can be approached and known by devotion, and that is the only way you can understand something of the glories of the Lord, is to become his devotee. For those who are not devotees, any understanding of the Lord remains far away. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto, that even by Vedic study, one can't come to understand Krishna. Vedeshu durlabham. Durlabham is too difficult. You can't do it. Adurlabham atma bhakto. But by devotion to the Lord and developing love for him, then what appears to be durlabham becomes adurlabham. What is very difficult becomes very easy. Just like there's that verse in the 10th canto, Samashritaye padapalavaplavam mahatpunyan punyasho murare bhavambadir vatsa padam 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 yavi padam natesham. That this whole ocean of material existence, it is very difficult to cross. Like trying to swim across the ocean. Imagine trying to swim across the Pacific Ocean. You can't swim across the ocean. It is too powerful, it's too vast. You will get tired. No. There are so many reasons you can't swim across the ocean. Pretty much everyone can accept this because no one's ever done it. But that whole ocean, for those who have taken shelter, samasritaye padapalavaplavam, of the pada, the lotus feet of the Lord, which are like a boat. Now you can cross the ocean in a boat, right? But you can't swim across. You have to have a boat. So those who have taken shelter of the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, that entire insurmountable ocean becomes shrunk up to the size of the water in the hoof print of a calf. Vatsa padam. Vatsa means calf. Vatsa padam, that footprint of the calf, which is very small. If a calf steps in the mud and there's a little puddle in the hoof print, then you can very easily cross over that. Even a child can do that without any difficulty. So the whole ocean of material existence, which is insurmountable and uncrossable, becomes shrunk up to the size of that Vatsapadam, and then you can easily cross beyond this material world, which is a place where there is danger at every step. Padam padam yavi padam natesham, but that danger, natesham, is not meant for the devotees of the Lord, because they have taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore, they easily cross beyond. So for Krishna to enjoy the position of Srimati Radharani was impossible because that position was completely foreign to him. Krishna is the transcendental male and Radharani is the transcendental female. Not like the male and female of this world, by the way. Do not make the mistake that Krishna and Radha are like ordinary men and women who are driven by desires to enjoy their senses, to relish each other's company. Not like that. This is a completely different subject matter on the transcendental platform, which again can only be understood by devotional service. Therefore, to know the transcendental pleasure of loving Krishna, Lord Krishna himself appeared as Lord Chaitanya, accepting the emotions and the bodily luster of Srimati Radharani. So Radharani, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. A Kanchana means gold. She has this golden complexion. And Krishna has a blackish complexion. But Lord Chaitanya appeared with the golden complexion, the color of Radharani. And not only with the complexion, but the mood and the sentiments of Radha and her love for Krishna, in order to relish this bliss tasted by Radharani. And even there are accounts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sightings of him in the Portuguese historical literature, because you may know the Portuguese had established a colony at Goa on the west coast of India. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went all around India on foot. And he was very tall, 7 feet tall, and golden complexion. So there are reports of this golden giant in the historical literature in Portuguese. So they had detected Lord Chaitanya and heard about him, the dancing golden giant. So the historical accounts there from the Western perspective. So Lord Chaitanya appeared in order to fulfill these confidential desires and also to preach the special significance of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and to answer the call of Advaita Prabhu. All right, so that's from the Adi Lila, chapter 4. The confidential reasons for the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now there is a verse that nicely explains the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his followers. This is specifically a verse by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of the very most important acharyas in our line. Wrong page. And he has written this verse summarizing the mood of the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in our Sampradaya. He says, Rajo Bhagavan Raji Satanayasta Dhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Vagena Vakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Vatamidam Tatra Dharatna Padaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is to be worshipped along with his transcendental abode, Vrindavan. The most pleasing form of worship for the Lord is that which is performed by the gopis of Vrindavan. That is the Madhurya Ras, the Krishna Prema. That is the mood of devotion of the gopis. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless authority on everything. Now there's a scientific statement for you. And pure love of God is the ultimate goal of life for all men. These statements, for which we have the highest regard, are the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So this is the philosophy that every devotee in the Krishna conscious movement accepts and follows. Now let's see here. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our predecessor Acharya in the 19th century, has taken the philosophy and teachings of Lord Chaitanya and codified them in terms of Dasamula Niyasha, which Dasamula 10, Dasa means 10 and Mula means root. So these are the 10 principal, foundational principles of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And these were published in a journal he had called the Sajjana Toshini, Volume 8, Issue 9, in 1897. This is 1 year after Srila Prabhupada took birth in this world. And so we're going to read from that. And he says that I worship that Sri Gaurachandra, who has given this classifications of teachings. These teachings are that, and this is the preliminary statement, Amnaya, in other words, the Vedas, are the only praman, or evidence, or proof of truth. The Vedas teach 9 subjects, or prameya, truths which are to be established. The first truth is that Sri Hari is the only Parama Tattva, the supreme truth. Krishna, who has the complexion of a new rain cloud, and whose form is Satchit Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss, is denoted by the word Hari. Brahman, which is described in the Upanishads, is merely the effulgence of Sri Hari's divine form. So the great white light, which the impersonalists want to merge into, that is the effulgence coming from the body of the Lord. That which the yogis refer to as Paramatma is an expansion of Sri Hari, and it is simply by his ikshana or glance that Prakriti creates the world of inanimate and animate beings. That's the material world. Therefore, Sri Hari is the only master, and all others are his servants. That's also explained by a well-known verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ekala Ishwara Krishna Adasarva Vricha. That the Supreme Lord, Ekala Ishwar, the one Supreme God, is Krishna. Adasarva Vricha. All others are his servants. And everyone dances as the Lord makes them dance. The second subject, that Sri Hari possesses all potencies. Manifesting from Hari, or Krishna, is his Achintya Parashakti, the supreme potency of inconceivability, which is non-different from him. He has his internal Chit Shakti, that's the energy of all-knowing, his external Maya Shakti, which is the cosmic manifestation, the material energy of God, and his marginal Jiva Shakti. And the Jiva Shakti is us, the living entities. The Vaikuntha Tattva emanates from the Chit Shakti, the unlimited universes emanate from the Maya Shakti, and the infinite Jivas are created by the Jiva Shakti. Sandini, Samvit, and Haladini are 3 aspects of the Parashakti. The third truth. As Hari, Sri Krishna is the ocean of all rasas. Shanta, neutrality, Dasya, servitorship, Sakya, friendship, Vatsalya, parental affection, and Madhurya, conjugal love. These are the 5 rasas. Of all the rasas, Madhura Ras is the most superior. In Krishna's Braja Leela, that is his pastimes in Vrindavan, Madhurya Ras remains eternally with its Vishuddha Bhava, divine emotions. Sri Krishna is resplendent with 64 qualities, which I will not name here, but they are listed. The fourth truth. In the previous three truths, Bhagavat Tattva, knowledge of Bhagawan, was explained. The fourth, fifth, and sixth subjects speak about Jiva Tattva. That means the truth about the living entities. So this is very relevant because this is who we are, the Jiva Tattva. The Jivas manifest as separated expansions called Vibhinangsa under the influence of the marginal potency of Lord Krishna's energy. Just as one lights an unlimited number of smaller lamps from a greater lamp. Although the Jiva possesses a spiritual form and is by nature spiritual, he is extremely finite and subservient. So this is important to understand, that as living entities, we have a spiritual form and we are by nature spiritual and not these material bodies, which we are so bewildered by and closely identify with. Due to the subservient nature, he becomes conditioned by Maya and develops adversity toward Krishna. The distinction between the Ishwar and the Jiva is this. Both are actually spiritual by nature. Yet by nature, the one who is infinite, the master of Maya, his eternal maidservant is Ishwara. One who is naturally dominated by Maya, even in a liberated state, and is finite, is the Jiva. So the Lord is infinite and we are finite. The example is given of the ocean and a drop of water. There is a great ocean and the drop of water has the same quality as the ocean. Yet the ocean is very vast and powerful and the drop of water is very tiny and insignificant. So a jiva remains free from Maya when he is subordinate to Krishna. A pure jiva is characterized as having a spiritual nature. There is no mayika nature or material qualities within a pure jiva. The fifth truth. The jiva is a pencil ray of the spiritual sun, which is Krishna. He is infinitesimal and subordinate. If he is subservient to Krishna, he will have no misery and can enjoy supreme bliss. This is the key to understanding our Krishna conscious nature. When we are fully Krishna conscious and engaged in Krishna service, then we have no misery and we can enjoy the bliss of Krishna consciousness. He becomes averse to Krishna as his desires for sense enjoyment gradually manifest, and he becomes bound by Maya to her irresistible wheel of karma, experiencing the illusory pleasure and pain of this material world. Maya's wheel of karma comprises papa and punya. That means sin and pious activities, pleasure and pain, and high and low social positions. In this way, sometimes the jiva may attain a celestial realm, and sometimes he may attain a hellish condition, wandering through the wombs of the 8,400,000 species of life. The sixth truth, that though bound to Maya's wheel, the jiva is constitutionally spiritual by nature, and therefore he is qualified to become free from Maya. There you go. We're all qualified by our nature as jivas to become free from Maya. So that's a good thing. Instead of remaining eternally conditioned and subordinate to Maya and being kicked around by her, we are qualified to become free from that attachment to Maya, or that binding force of Maya. But it is not possible to become free from Maya by performing punya and pious deeds. I am a jiva, a spiritual particle, and Maya is contemptible to me. Even with such an understanding gained through knowledge and renunciation, one will not become liberated from Maya. When one's hidden and suppressed mood of Krishna dasya, servitorship to Krishna, arises, then one becomes liberated. And as this nature manifests, one's subservient nature to Maya disappears over time. But it is attainable by what? Sadhu Sangha, association of devotees. Now the seventh truth is Sambandha Jnana, knowledge of one's relationship with Krishna, which becomes manifest upon discussing the previous subjects in the association with devotees. An inquisitive jiva asks these questions. Who am I? Whom do I belong to? What is my relationship with this world? Due to Krishna's inconceivable potency, all the jivas in all the universes are eternally separate and non-separate from him. This material universe is not our place. It is simply a prison house. From this knowledge, faith in exclusive Krishna bhakti arises. In other words, firm beliefs emerges. The eighth subject, when one begins to step onto the path of bhakti, one says, what should be done? And by exclusive bhakti and faith, by means of proper association, what will give pleasure to Krishna? With this in mind, one must approach and ask a spiritual master. A spiritual master, knowing a person who have shraddha and eligible for bhakti, bestows pure Krishna bhakti. So that is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Akonya Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasadi Bhai Bhakti Lata Bij. After Brahmanda Brahmite Konya Bhagavan Jeev, after wandering up and down through all the material universes, a living entity becomes Bhagavan. Bhagya means fortune, and Van means one who possesses. One becomes Bhagavan by Guru Krishna Prasadi Bhai, Bhakti Lata Bij. By the mercy of Krishna, one gets the spiritual master. And by the mercy of the spiritual master, one obtains the devotional service of Krishna. So whatever is favorable in the worship of Krishna is considered to be the highest thing, Uttama Bhakti. It is Shuddha Bhakti, or pure devotion. Thus, one should live a life with a favorable disposition towards bhajan, avoiding those activities, relations, and mood that are unfavorable. This is a little technical, but it's worth hearing every once in a while. Performing kirtan, glorifying Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes, is the greatest amongst all the limbs of bhakti. When this type of sadhana bhakti is performed, according to the Shastra, it is known as Vaidhi Bhakti. And by constantly engaging in this Vaidhi Bhakti with great faith, then Bhava Bhakti arises. There's another type of sadhana bhakti which is exceptional, and that is known as Raganuga Bhakti. So that's very rare. And the ninth truth is that the ultimate goal, or the prayojana, is Krishna Prema. While practicing exclusive bhakti with faith, and thus following the mood of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, love for Krishna will arise. And then he quotes the verse, Adau Shraddha Tat Sadhusanga Bhajana Kriya. In the beginning, there must be faith. And then when one has a little faith, one begins to associate with devotees, sadhusanga. And then one begins to practice Krishna consciousness, bhajana kriya. And then gradually, unwanted things that are within the heart become eliminated. Then one becomes fixed up in Krishna consciousness. Tato nishta. One develops steadiness. Not sometimes up and sometimes down. Yes, today I'm chanting 16 rounds. tomorrow I'm in Maya, I'm sleeping all day, I'm not going to chant anything. That is not Nishta. Nishta means steady. Like we say, Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. Nitya means eternal, and Prabhupada translates that. Bhagavat Sevaya, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam daily. Nityam Bhagavat. Except for on Mondays when we do the yard day. But we also hear at a different time, just not during the Bhagavatam class time. And then after one to change that state of steadiness, then one gains a great taste for Krishna consciousness, ruchi. Yeah. And there's more. So he's describing the different stages of devotional service. And that is a verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So the Dasamula, these 10 teachings, are teachings that Lord Chaitanya gave to Rupa Goswami and Sanatana. So there's a lot more. You can Google Dasamula and come up with this work from Sajjana Toshini by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which is the essence of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now there's a couple of verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita that are quoted in the Madhya Lila, but that are actually composed by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who, after trying to instruct Lord Chaitanya in Vedanta, and then Lord Chaitanya remained passively silent for 7 days. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was a great Mayavadi and a teacher of the Mayavadi sannyasis, and he was like the greatest scholar in India of his day, there in Jagannath Puri. He said to Lord Chaitanya, I've been teaching you this Vedanta philosophy for 7 days, and you haven't said a word. You didn't even say one word. You didn't ask a question. You didn't even acknowledge anything. Have you understood what I've been saying? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blew Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's mind. He said, I understand Vedanta perfectly, but I don't know what is this nonsense you were talking. He said that the meaning of Vedanta is perfectly clear, yet you were trying to, just like the sun, but you were trying to cover that sun of that pure meaning of Vedanta with your clouds of speculatory interpretations, which is the philosophy, the Mayavad philosophy of Shankaracharya. And Sarvabhauma was stunned and speechless. No one ever challenged him like that and defeated him. And then Lord Chaitanya went on to explain Vedanta to Sarvabhauma, and he had a change of heart. He immediately became converted from a Mayavadi who denies the existence of God, the personal form of God, into a great devotee. And this was a miraculous conversion indeed, because he was the dyed-in-the-wool Mr. Mayavadi of medieval India. So he transformed from a dry Mayavadi into a Rasika Vaishnava, filled with the nectar of Krishna consciousness. And so he composed 100 verses glorifying Lord Chaitanya. And the two most famous verses from that work we will quote here from, this is from the Madhya Lila chapter 6 of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vairagya Vijja Nija Bhakti Yoga Shiksharshimika Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariridhari Kripam Buhir Yastamaham Prapadye. Let me take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who has descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us real knowledge, his devotional service, and detachment from whatever does not foster Krishna consciousness. He has descended because he is an ocean of mercy. Let me surrender unto his lotus feet. And then the next verse, Kalanastam bhakti yogam nijam ya padus kartum Krishna Chaitanya nama avirbhutastasya padada binde gadham lila yatam chitta bringaha. Let my consciousness, which is like a honeybee, take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has just now appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach the ancient system of devotional service to himself. This system had almost been lost due to the influence of time. And that is the same Bhakti Yoga devotional service that Lord Krishna instructed Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita some 5,000 years before. So those are those wonderful verses by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So we can also examine the historical epic in Malu in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, and understanding this context gives us also if we back off a little bit historically, then we get a clear vision of what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was teaching and doing. Because Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago and taught Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. But in due course of time, those teachings were not properly understood or maintained in the disciplic succession. And Advaita Acharya had noticed that the world is devoid of devotion. Therefore, O Lord, you please appear, because only you can resurrect this devotional service. So that was 5,000 years ago that Krishna appeared and spoke the Bhagavad Gita. Then, about 2,500 years ago, Lord Buddha appeared, and he rejected the authority of the Vedas because at that time, people were using the authority of the Vedas to engage in wanton animal killing and animal sacrifice. Therefore, Lord Buddha rejected the Vedas and preached ahimsa, nonviolence, compassion towards all living entities, which the modern Buddhists generally do not follow. There are some. When I was living in Dallas many years ago, there was one Taiwanese Buddhist restaurant, which was pure vegetarian, no onions, no garlic. You can imagine the devotees were happy about that, especially on Mondays when Kalachandji's restaurant was closed. You'd go there for lunch and you'd see devotees showing up from here and there, devotees who worked outside would go to this place. And so they were Taiwanese Buddhists, but they were all pure vegetarians, even to the point of no onions and garlic, just like Vaishnavas almost. So, and then Lord Buddha, through the patronage of Emperor Ashoka, his philosophy was spread all over India and throughout the entire Asian world, spread to China and Japan and Korea and Thailand and all those kinds of places. So Buddhism became very prominent, and the Vedic authority was lost. But Lord Shiva was sent by the Lord Krishna to reestablish the Vedic authority in around the 7th, 8th century or so. But he preached a philosophy of Mayavad, impersonalism, that was kind of familiar and friendly to the Buddhists, who sort of more or less just rejected any idea of God. Although you find in all those Asian countries in Southeast Asia that they worship Buddha in the temple like God, as if he were God. So they actually have bhakti. They have love of God manifest in the form of worshiping Lord Buddha. I met a Vietnamese man one time in my days of going door to door, and he had a nice little altar there. They had this, instead of offering incense every day, they don't only have incense, they have these sticks there, and they're plugged into the wall. They call them electric incense. It has a little red tip on each one glowing. So they have that on their altars. You can see through the front windows of the Vietnamese people's house the red light coming from the electric incense. And they put mango and water, and they make offerings. So he said to me, I told him, "Oh, this is a very nice altar you have for Lord Buddha." I said, "It appears that you have great devotion for Lord Buddha." And he said to me, I'll never forget, he said with such love and emotion in his voice, "I worship Lord Buddha every day of my life." And I really appreciated that. It gave me insight that Lord Buddha tricked them, although he did not say anything about God. And he said, "I have not come to teach God or religion." But they accept him as God and they worship him as God. So he tricked them. And that natural tendency for the jiva to worship God with love, it became manifest, even though that's not an official part of the Buddhist teaching at all. But yet we see nonetheless it's manifest throughout the Buddhist cultures. Worship of the Lord with incense and flowers, and same thing in the Vedic worship of Lord Vishnu. So Shankaracharya, he preached Mayavad philosophy, but it's a type of covered Buddhism with no real bhakti or devotion to the Lord, with this impersonal philosophy, which Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a big proponent of that Mayavad philosophy. And then later on, that was around 7th, 8th century, then Ramanujacharya appeared and preached bhakti, and then came Madhvacharya, and Madhvacharya's mission was to refute the philosophy of Shankaracharya, which had spread all over India. It became the de facto Hindu religion, the Mayavad philosophy. But Madhvacharya established a devotion to and worship of Lord Krishna. And then, coming in the line from Madhvacharya was Madhavendra Puri, who we just covered last week, was his disappearance day. And he introduced this idea of worshiping Radha and Krishna in the mood of conjugal love. And then, to complete the restoration of the real Vedic truth, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and presented, first of all, he lived the life of love of Krishna, and he presented this philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, that understanding that the living entity is not God, he is different from God, yet he is similar to God. So this simultaneous inconceivable oneness and difference, Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva philosophy, which is the true Vedic philosophy. It is the real tattva that is to be understood. The living entity is the servant of Krishna, simultaneously one with Krishna, but again different from him as his subordinate servant. So we, the living entities, are Jivera Sarupoi Krishnera Nityadas. We are eternally Nityadas, the servant of Krishna. And this is the contribution of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the modern world, to the residents of Kali Yuga, to understand the true Vedic religion and practice it through the chanting of the holy names of Krishna, through Krishna Kirtan. So that Achintya Bheda Bheda philosophy, which was codified and thoroughly explained by Sriti Jiva Goswami in his Sat Sandarbhas, his expositions on the absolute truth. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not presenting actually something new, although it may appear to be new, but historically, it is the same thing that you see in Bhagavad Gita. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matstani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavashtita. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that this whole material manifestation, it is simultaneously one with me, yet I am not there. Nachaham teshvavashtita. It is the same Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva philosophy that Krishna spoke in one verse that has been once again revived by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is so wonderful what Lord Chaitanya has done. He's teaching love of God by the what? Religion of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Kaler, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Kaler doshanit hey rajan, asye ko mahan guna, kirtanar eva krishnasya, mukta sangha parambrajet. That this age of Kali, Kaler doshanit hey rajan, O king, this age of Kali, it is an ocean. An ocean of what? Ocean of faults. Kaler dosha nidhe. It's an ocean of fault, of contradiction, of hypocrisy and quarrel. That's the Kali Yuga. That's the world in which we live, folks. It's a tough row to hoe, this Kali Yuga. It's not friendly and favorable for anyone. Everyone struggles, everyone suffers. And especially because of the massive ignorance all over the world of spiritual truth. Asyeko Mahanguna, but there's one Mahaguna, one great quality in this age of Kali. Even though it's so bad, it's such a terrible time, that still there's one Mahaguna, one great quality. Kirtanad eva Krishnasya, Mukta Sangha Parambrajet. That simply by chanting the holy names of Krishna, Kirtanad eva Krishnasya, eva, certainly, by chanting Hare Krishna, Mukta Sangha Parambrajet, one becomes liberated, Mukta Sangha, from all bad associations. And Parambrajet, one can go back home, back to Godhead. So this is the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is exactly what Srila Prabhupada has brought to the world, beginning in 1965, landing first in Boston Harbor and then coming to New York City, and then preaching the Krishna consciousness movement, teaching the Vaishnava philosophy, and engaging everyone in chanting Hare Krishna and living a pure life and taking prasad and dancing in ecstasy. This is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, and Srila Prabhupada is his foremost representative. Sinapati Bhakta. He's a great general, a great commander in the army of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and is predicted before his birth that such a personality would come and spread Krishna Bhakti all over the surface of the world, which it has come to pass. And so we are living in this happy time now of Krishna consciousness. And it is all the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he has devised this great scheme, he has hatched this great conspiracy to engage all the living entities in developing their love for Krishna and becoming great devotees, and then going back home, back to Godhead. Lord Chaitanya is like a gardener. He says it himself in the Adi Lila. He says, I'm a gardener and I'm cultivating these fruits of love of God. But I am just one person. I cannot eat all these fruits by myself. Therefore, they have to be distributed, and then everyone can taste the fruits of love of God. So the distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books is compared to the distribution of the fruits of love of God. Like little juicy mango bombs. When you bite into the juicy mango bombs, in the heavenly planets that have these mangoes, there's no pulp. It's a very thin skin and the rest is all juice. Pre-juiced. No fiber. Just pure bliss, pure nectar. Those kind of mangoes you cannot get at Lily Market or in the Indian store. So Srila Prabhupada's books are like those mango bombs that when you dive into the books and read the philosophy and chant Hare Krishna, you taste that nectar of that mango juice, which is the real nectar, is love of God, love of Krishna, which is the birthright and the position of every living entity, man, woman, child, beast, bacteria, every living entity. Sarvagata, the living entities are everywhere in the cosmic manifestation. And all are spiritual, as we heard in the teachings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and therefore can be awakened to their Krishna consciousness by hearing and chanting. And then when people read the books, that's hearing and chanting about Krishna from Prabhupada directly. All right, so we'll stop here and ask for any questions, comments, realizations, or any other discussion. Yes.
One question, one quick comment. Question is, where did those 10 truths come from again?
Bhaktivinoda Thakur, published in the Sajjana Toshini in 1897.
Nice. Thank you. That was good.
The Dasa Mula Tattva, it's called.
About the Buddhists, when I was in Hawaii, there's a Buddhist temple next to our temple. And I went down there and I went in to check it out. And the door was locked, but you can see in the window, and it was like they had this massive altar with a massive deity. It looked so opulent, like something you'd see in Mayapur, like of the likes of that, but it was a Buddha deity. So they're also doing that worship. And I was hearing this little clip, and it was like they were asking the Dalai Lama, who do you pray to when you pray? And Dalai Lama said, I pray to Buddha. So they're praying to Buddha, they're like treating him just like God. That's funny.
And Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna.
But he did say afterward, he said, but don't believe me. He said, you have to see for yourself. That's what he said. So, anyway, just thought I'd share that. Thank you for that. Nice class.
Next, anyone? Yes, Divya.
In Boulder, they have a lot of Buddhists.
Quote, Buddhist.
In big center downtown. They aren't even vegetarians. They drink wine. There's absolutely no regulations at all. And they said, well, there's many branches. Many branches of Buddhism.
Yes, and there are many thorns on those branches. Yeah, the real culture of Buddhism, as it was originally practiced in India, is practically lost and gone to the modern Buddhist world. You may find some monasteries here and there, like in Lhasa, Tibet, and other places where they, practice meditation, renunciation. They don't engage in sense gratification. They live a very pure life. But in the West, hardly you find such a thing. And that's just the power of Kali. She's got her fingers in everyone's mind. Yes, any other question, comment, realization?
I went to school with this one Buddhist, and then I saw her going to McDonald's. And so I said, I always heard Buddhists were vegetarian. Is that true? And she said, well, the idea is that we don't cause violence, but we didn't actually kill the animal. So therefore, it's all right.
But it's not all right, because according to Bhagavatam, that it is a conspiracy to kill the animal. The person who raises the animal and sells it, the person who actually kills the animal, then the butcher that divides the body into different parts, then the person who buys the meat, the person who cooks the meat, and the person who eats it. And it's like a murder conspiracy. If you have a murder conspiracy, all the parties in the conspiracy are guilty of murder in a court of law. So in the same way, buying the meat, eating the meat, cooking the meat, it's all the same thing. It's all part and parcel of the same crime. As my country band used to sing this song when I was a teenager playing in the country band. There was one song, I became the victim of my own crime. So, yes, you buy the meat, you eat the meat, you become the victim of your own crime. And you have to pay. You have to suffer in different ways from bad karma. All right, anyone else? Anybody else have a pastime or something about Lord Chaitanya they'd like to speak briefly? Today's class was not so much Leela, it was more philosophy, but Chaitanya Charitamrita has many Leelas of Lord Chaitanya, and then Chaitanya Bhagavat is filled with Leela. But Chaitanya Charitamrita is the greatest philosophical work on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is filled with all the conclusions of the Achintya Bheda Bheda philosophy in detail and expressed through the activities and the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his preaching, his encounters with different personalities. He converts the Mayavadi sannyasis of Benares. He has an encounter with some Buddhists who tried to give him some contaminated food and say it's prasad. They offered him this contaminated plate, and they said it was prasad. And then suddenly this giant eagle appeared and grabbed the plate and flew off in the air, and then he dropped the plate and it hit the main Buddhist teacher in the head and cut his head. And then he fell down unconscious, and his disciples were trying to revive him. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told them to chant Hare Krishna, and that would revive him. So they're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, into his ear. And Prabhupada says in that way the chief Buddhist teacher was initiated by his disciples into the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Very wonderful pastime. And of course, he liberated Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who composed these wonderful verses that we read. He preached to the Tattvavadis in the Ramanuja Sampradaya and corrected them of their official following of the Vedic idea of Varnashram, but without developing love of Krishna. So he preached to them also. He preached to Rupa Goswami, who became the Rasa Acharya of our Sampradaya. He preached to Sanatana Goswami, who wrote many wonderful works like Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So there are many, many pastimes of the Lord in which he is preaching and giving philosophy to leading intellectuals. But for the masses of people, kirtan. Kirtan and prasad. Just like we do at Ratha Yatra. Kirtan and prasad for the masses. And if someone is a little intelligent or philosophically inclined, we have many books. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. We have many, many philosophical books to understand this great science of bhakti. So not just some sentimental performance only. There's the sentiment and mood of love of God, but backed up by rigorous philosophical scholarship. That is the Krishna consciousness movement. Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you very much. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. And lo and behold, the sun has come out. The rain has gone away, so it looks auspicious for the Harinam, although maybe a little chilly and a little windy. But we shall overcome.